All righty, welcome to ANF Plus Sports Tonight.
What up, what up?
Emily's here.
Yep.
All righty, let's get going right away. Braves now, they're going to go with Orlando Arcia at shortstop. Now, Emily, this is a guy who has played, he played in Milwaukee. He's had a lot of experience, in the majors, and maybe they just want to bring up, I don't mind this, because, I want to see Vaughn Grissom at his best, and they want to get him the reps and make sure that he's ready to go in the MLB, and, he'll be right up the road, so if they need him quickly, they can bring him in.
I don't mind this either.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were hoping for Vaughn Grissom to get that starting job at shortstop,
Right.
sure. And I think we were all pulling for him in the sense
Sure.
that you want to see young talent out there because that's what the Braves have betted on for so many years now, right? I mean,
Right.
they have brought up so many young talent that has been so successful, and it appears that he could be one of them. And like you said, he might need a little more time. What I find interesting is this off season, he went to New Orleans and he trained with the man, Ron Washington.
Right.
He had those like intense fielding sessions with him for weeks on end. Like he would go for a week and then he would leave and then come back. So it wasn't just like one of those things like, hey, I'm just going to pop in for a couple
No, he
days.
worked with him all winter.
He really, really did. And Wash, when I was at spring training, granted, this was when spring training first got started. So
Right.
this was about a month ago. Wash was saying like, this is our guy. He was signing off on him. Obviously, he doesn't make those decisions. He's not the manager. Brian Snicker, Anthopoulos, they make those decisions. But I will say, like, Snicker kept saying, Snit was like, yes, Wash is signing off on Vaughn Grissom. So if he's saying, that he's a go, like, that does weigh heavily on our decisions. So, again, that was a few weeks ago. Now Grissom got some playing time during spring training
Right.
games, and they obviously did not like what they saw.
Well, okay, you've got Vaughn Grissom that can play both short and second. We know that. And then they've got that first-round draft pick out of Texas A&M, Braden Shoemake. What are they going to do with him? That's another guy. I mean, if you draft a guy in the first round, you expect him to play. He can play both short and first, so maybe Braden Shoemake is a guy that they could, make a deal, maybe trade and get something that they need, as the season goes on, because Alex Anthopoulos has been great at doing that the last few years. Well, since he's been here, really. But
And Grissom had not played. Last season he played some with the Braves when
Right.
he came to the team. But he hadn't played or has not played a full game at shortstop in the major leagues. Not
Right.
ever.
yeah, because he was
So,
playing second base last year, when Ozzie got hurt. So
I mean, that's tough, right? And
Yeah.
he has, if you've watched some of his games, he's struggled a little bit. I mean, this is a huge position, on
yeah,
any
it's the
team, obviously.
yeah, it's like usually your shortstop is the best player on the team.
Right, and-
that's the guy.
Dansby Swanson, let's be honest, like complete stud, and beyond that, loved by Braves fans. This is home, right? He's from
Right.
here. So you're replacing somebody who was absolutely loved and is still probably very much loved by Braves fans, which I think it makes it even harder for whoever comes in. So this might be an easier transition for Vaughn Grissom whenever he does, and if he does, get to start for the team at shortstop. It might be better for them to bring in Orlando Arcia for a bit and then continue to groom him and bring him in so people aren't
Right. Yeah,
so
you don't want to rush
jarred
him.
when
Don't rush
he might
him,
make mistakes. Correct.
You're exactly right. I agree with you. Don't rush the young man. Let him, work his way in and do his thing and get, get the reps that he needs. That's the thing he'll do in Gwinnett. He'll get all the reps that he needs. He can make some mistakes. He can do whatever, and it'll really help him get ready quicker, I think, without the pressure.
When you replace a legend, Fred, like that's really, really hard. And like, whoever replaces you, I mean, that's going to be really, really hard.
Oh, here we
Replacing
go.
A legend
Here we go.
is very, very
Yeah,
difficult
here
because
we
of
go.
the level of standard. Like Kirby said, he says the level of excellence that they have at UGA. Well, the level of excellence that comes along with replacing you is going to be difficult as well.
Listen to you. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on now. Major League Baseball, some new rules. All right, here's the thing. The biggest change is that teams can no longer challenge if any of the four infielders were violating the new shift rules after an out. So you got to do it before there's an out. And teams can only challenge if that specific player making the out had his feet on the outfield grass. So you can no longer back up and play on the outfield grass. Like sometimes you move around, the shortstop or second baseman might move and play shallow outfield. because they know the guy's going to hit there. See, I think all this is bogus, by the way.
I was
All
waiting for
this
that
is
to
just
come.
bogus. It's a bunch of BS, all right? You can't, I mean, that's like saying, okay, well, in football, I think they're going to pass. Okay, well then, hey, you know what? You can't put in different personnel packages. You have to play with your straight defense. No stunts, no blitzes. You can't do any of that. I mean, come on. That's part of the game. You scout to know you do that. That's why you scout. They know Dansby's going to hit it there, so they play a guy over there.
For me, these rules, I do appreciate the fact that they want to speed up the game, and they're continually or constantly tweaking these rules, which is good. So they're paying attention. They're, kind of seeing what works and what doesn't work. But for me, like, being a player that has played for however many years and the game only one way, and now you have to learn these new rules and actually like put them into play very fast, even though 6 weeks of spring training helps. I think it's going to be very hard at the beginning of the season. I think a lot of things will go wrong and a lot of mistakes will be made for like the first month, because yes, you got 6 weeks during spring training to like learn these rules and all that, but then games start to count, and I think there's going to be some mess ups by everybody. And that's just part of it. It's like a learning curve, right? But Fred, I know you like the bat boy and bat girl.
I love this one. This is incredible, right? I mean, new standards will be enforced for bat boys and bat girls in order to maintain the pace of the game. Okay? Major League Baseball will evaluate the performances of all bat boys and bat girls and can ask teams to replace those young boys and girls if their performance is substandard. You got to be kidding me, right?
I mean, I see a lot of tears and a lot of bat boy and bat girl future, okay? Because they might, they might just not be fast enough.
The bat boy, you got to get that bat up there. You got to get the bat out of there. We got to go. Let's go.
I know. I mean, wait a minute. Have you ever, Fred, watched a game, and you've watched more baseball than I have in your lifetime, thought like, oh, that bat boy or that bat girl.
Come on, pick it up, bat boy. Let's go.
Up to par. You
move
gotta
it.
Move a little faster.
Let's go.
Have you ever thought that?
No.
Exactly.
Never.
Like, get out of here. That is when you get a little bit,
how about you pick up the bat and throw it toward the dugout? How about that? That'll speed it up.
Seriously.
There you go.
Let's let these young kids who find it so cool to help out a major league team, let's give them a few extra seconds to walk on and off.
I will say this, okay? The average spring training game, though, is down from 3 hours and 1 minute to 2 hours and 36 minutes.
And that's what I expected, because they tested.
It's a half hour.
They tested these rules out, right? So it's not, these rules aren't just coming out of nowhere. They've been testing these rules out for a couple of years, I want to say. It might even be 3 years in the minor leagues. They tested these rules out in over 8,000 games. I know that to be fact. And what they did find is that the game was shortened by about 30 minutes once these rules were learned and applied. And when you talk to minor leaguers who are in the clubhouse, and I talked to a couple when I was at spring training, they did say, like, once you know the rules, they're very, very easy to to apply and to follow. So they said, like, we don't think that players will struggle as much as they think they will once they learn and just apply and go out there and play. But what they did say is it absolutely does speed up the game, and it will. And I think, for people who love baseball, this is good, because then you don't have to sit there for 3+ hours appreciating like the pace of the game, which is slow. But that's also part of it. As some players are like, we like how slow the game goes, because it's like this like beautiful dance between a pitcher and a hitter and all that stuff, whatever. I mean, I don't know, I know baseball is slow, right?
It is.
So my whole life, if I've watched a game, I know I'm sitting there and it's going to be slow. That's what I expect of it. So for me, like, whether there's changes or not, I appreciated the game for what it was. So we'll see if this works. But if it doesn't, Fred, they're going to go back.
Well, here, and the memo also instructs the bat boys and bat girls to have a player's bat ready if he's due up to lead off an inning. Now,
as opposed to not ready, again, like, have you ever seen one of them not be ready?
Well, I mean, plus the player goes and gets his bat, because he might have 3 or 4 bats in the rack that he uses. He might want a specific one that time.
It's
so
ridiculous.
I mean, I don't.
Like,
it's crazy.
Let's pump the brakes.
Now there could be additional modification once the season starts, according to the commissioner, Rob Manfred.
I'm sure.
All right.
Just like anything else in baseball. Like last year, what did we deal with? We dealt with a lockout. And now this year we're dealing with these new rules. It's going to be something else next year. I get it. Manfred. You want your sport to get more popular. Perhaps it has lost some
Right.
viewers along the way. But at what cost, okay? Because last season, you made some players mad, right?
Right.
The lockout, cool. So now we're going to make players mad again with these new rules. But let's see what happens, okay? Let's see if it enhances
We'll see if it
the experience.
Well, yeah, for the fans, if it'll enhance
And
the
are you gonna
fans'
make more money?
experience,
Okay,
you know.
let's see. Are more tickets going to be sold?
Yeah, I mean,
All
that's
right?
the key. All right.
That's right.
The Hawks break with a mediocre record. I mean, the Hawks are what they are, man. They're playing 500 basketball right now. They're trying to get out. I don't think they can get out of the 7 or 8 spot. I really don't. I don't think they're going to be in the play-in tournament.
They're absolutely going to be.
They're going to be in the play-in tournament. So
Oh,
they're,
absolutely.
yeah. So they gotta try to fight their way to get into the bracket.
Well, Quinn Snyder, when he got here, 21 games left in the season, such a weird time to get here. I put none of this on him. Absolutely none of it. Because you don't have time. You come in and you're expected to win right away and just take care of whatever there is to take care of in 21 games and get your team, into the playoffs and play some good ball. But this team right here, right now, I mean, there is no urgency whatsoever. The players say they have it. They say that they know that they have to play well the last few games of the season down the stretch. They get it. Quinn said as soon as he got here, Quinn Snyder said, I want this team to go on a run. That's what we have to do. We have to go on a run. Well, we haven't seen that run, and it's not going to come, Fred, because there is no consistency with this team. There is a lack of consistency that this team has dealt with for so long now. They can't finish games. They're ahead. They slow down. Then they lose. Just against San Antonio, perfect example.
Right.
They were up by 24 points in the third quarter.
They've blown some huge
and
leads.
It's like they get up there, and then they just let up because they think that they're like, okay, we're winning this game, and then boom.
This is the NBA. There's always big runs in the. I mean, they scored 80-some points in the first half the other night.
It was.
I mean,
and
come
listen,
on.
San Antonio is not the San Antonio it used to be.
No.
They had they have no wins on the season, and this isn't about the Spurs, but what it is about the Hawks and the fact that they aren't finishing games, and this is the same problem they've had, Fred, for 2 years now.
At least 2 years, if not longer, right?
No consistency whatsoever. They're hot, they're cold, they can't get on a run. They win 2 games and they lose 5. Like, what is it? Why can't they find a level of play, a standard of excellence? Don't let Kirby go over there, okay? Don't let Kirby go to State Farm Arena and coach those guys, because he will not like it.
Well, no. I mean, who would like it? Who would like putting up with that? That'd be tough.
Let's be honest about that. But come on, guys. Let's get it together. But is it the guys in the locker room? Like, what's the problem here?
Yeah, I mean.
And they're not. They're good players. Like, singularly, when you take a look at that roster, I like it. I mean, I do.
Yeah,
like
sure.
these
Oh,
players.
yeah. Well, I mean, this is the same team that's been to the conference finals. I mean, they've got, and they added pieces that they should have been better.
Yeah.
And they're not.
They're not.
I mean, that makes it tough. What's going on with Aaron Rodgers? I mean, they're getting the receivers, right? The Jets get McCole Hardman today. They had Lazard, so now they've got 2, receivers. So it appears as though the Jets are filling out Aaron Rodgers' wish list.
Let's get on with it. That's
So
what I have to say.
make up
about
your
it.
mind, right?
Right. Like, let's get on with it. Let's Green Bay, let it go. Let him
Excuse
go
me,
wherever
one
he
sec.
wants to go, and then let him do his thing. And I don't have many words for it other than let's just take care of the situation, get this trade over with. I do also always have thoughts about former dogs, McCole Hardman. He ran like a 4.33, I want to say, during the 40 at the Combine in 2019, drafted in the second round. He's got speed for days. Fred, you watched him when he was in high school.
Oh, man, he's unbelievable.
So
Yeah, I saw him in high school. Unbelievable. I remember when McCole signed, when he signed
Baller.
his letter of intent, it was crazy. Everybody was wondering where he was going to go, and then he signed with Georgia, and of course that was so huge for that recruiting class. I mean,
he stayed home, you know, and well, he was part of the national championship team that lost
right
to
Alabama.
Well, it wouldn't be a national championship
Right.
team. It would be
went to the national
a
championship game.
the runner-up team.
Game here, right at the stadium where they lost to Alabama in overtime.
Once he starts running, you better believe that man is taking off, and he's taking off for real. They call him Jet for a reason, and that's because
Well, that's just it. I mean, he does it on punt returns. He does it on kickoff returns. I mean, the guy really kind of does it all, and that's really, a
It's
big
a one-year
thing.
deal, and he just had a baby. I'm happy for him. I'm like, it's, that's one of the cooler things, Fred, and you probably can attest to this as
Yeah.
well. It's like you meet these athletes along the way, whether it be high school or college, and then you watch them grow to be like, they go from like being super immature, can barely talk to you in an interview, to looking at you dead in the eye, having a full conversation,
Right, yeah.
having a family. So it's really cool to see like the progression, and definitely with McCole, like he was always super nice to all of us.
Yeah, he was a
But you
nice
saw
guy.
the
He
maturity,
is a nice
like,
guy.
just go and go and go. And I hate that he's leaving Kansas City, obviously, because you think of the Chiefs and you're like, man, they have so many more championships to go.
I know. You think about that. Think about that, and think about the championships and the winning that he's experienced already.
Yeah, for sure, and that's gonna go far from him in his career. It'll certainly help him if and when he goes to the playoffs again. I think he'll probably like New York a little bit better than he liked Kansas City. That's just.
I think he'll like Aaron Rodgers too. I mean,
I
look,
mean-
Patrick Mahomes has got a cannon too. They're both like just big arms. I mean, those guys can let it fly, both of them. So I don't think he'll be disappointed having Aaron Rodgers throw him the football. Is what I'm saying.
No. I'm
It's
super
not Patrick
happy.
Mahomes, because it's coming out from different angles. He's on the run, he's going this way, he's going that way, and then here comes a bullet right your way. So
Fred, like when Fred gives me like sounds, that's when I like it. So
you do? Okay,
yeah,
you like
no.
those sounds? All right.
When you do like your home run sound,
The big home run sound. All
Yeah,
right. Well,
that's-
speaking of big home run sounds, all right, let's go to our last topic. What's on your mind, Emily?
what's on your mind, Fred? Because you always ask me.
Okay, here we
and
go.
I want to know you first.
I want to know who's going to win the World Series, all right? I want to know that. I got to see both World Series
what's on
wins
your
here in
mind?
Atlanta. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
We're not even at opening day yet, but I looked at the odds in Houston. What a run they've had, despite being all the cheating that they've done, right? And they moved to the American League, and I think that's what served them well. So Houston's in the American League. I mean, they 3 World Series, 6 NLCSs, since 2017. So they're one of the favorites. The Dodgers are our second favorite, followed by the Braves being the third favorite to go all the way in the World Series. So,
I'm here for it.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them go back. I would love to see the Braves go back. I mean, it's
They
always
still
fun.
have talent. They have the talent.
They do, no doubt.
But, Fred, some people don't like to hear this, especially my mother. Marcia does not like to hear this. But in sports, you have to have a little bit of luck.
Oh, yeah, of
Just a
course you
little.
do.
Obviously, you have to have a ton of talent. You have to know what you're doing.
Yep,
But sometimes the ball bounces your way only because that's how sports are.
exactly.
So for the Braves, you got to have a little bit of luck, but you got a ton of talent. So as long as you take care of that, I'm into it. You want to know what's on my mind now?
What's on your mind now?
Brock Bowers, going into his third year, it's his final year at UGA. He's not coming back after this year because, the only reason he's still there, Fred, is because you have to play 3 years of college before you can leave and
Right,
declare for
which is
the
kind of
NFL.
crazy. I mean,
Trash.
he came out.
But that guy is definitely.
I mean, his freshman year is unbelievable, and he's just built on that. I mean, the things that this guy does.
He could have left after his freshman year.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, the way they put him in motion, and I give the credit, to the offensive coordinator too for using him the way they do.
Todd Monken.
Todd Monken. I mean, they put him in motion. They, send him out on those little routes, and get him open.
There's like no better athlete in college football right now. Honestly, will he win the Heisman Trophy? That's one of the things on my mind. Will a tight end win a Heisman Trophy? And Fred, he just won the Mackey Award in year 2. He should have won it
Right.
in year 1.
He should have, no
honestly,
doubt, yeah.
He was the best tight end the last 2 years. No arguments there. But I think maybe they're like, we can't give the Mackey Award to a freshman. Well, they should have.
They should have, yeah. I
They
mean,
absolutely
he
should
deserved
have.
it.
Yes.
There's no doubt he
Back to
deserved
back,
it.
in
Yeah.
my mind, Mackey Award winner. But he said yesterday during availability at UGA, somebody asked like, hey, improvements. What are you working on during this off season? Like, what do you want to do in your final? Well, I don't think they said final year. I'm saying final year because he's not coming back,
Right.
guys. What do you want to do in year 3 at Georgia? And he didn't really have an answer, but he's like, I'm going to try to be a better leader. I'm going to work on my leadership skills. So
That's
I'm
great.
with you, Brock, because you are a complete player. What do you have to work on at this point? Just go out there and play your game and get drafted in the top 10 and call it a day. But sure, be a leader now.
Be a leader. He wants to
Yeah.
be a leader on offense. He should be. I mean, guys will look up to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's one of your best players. He's a tight end.
Oh, well, wait. One of your best. Would you say that Brock Bowers is the best player on Georgia's roster right now?
I would have to say that. I mean,
who
I'd have to.
else?
I want to watch him block. How does he do blocking? I've not seen him.
Well, they don't
I
ask
haven't-
him to do that as much as they use him as basically a receiver. You know what I'm saying? But he
Right.
does. He absolutely does block. But he's not like, when you compare him to Darnell Washington, which is why it worked with both of them on the field. Big O was
Big O is Big O.
was responsible for doing a lot of that.
Yeah. Well,
Even though he is like the biggest man I've been around and can still run faster
the
than
dude is huge. What
most
is
of the
he? 6'7",
population.
about 280, something like that,
I mean,
right?
like big dude. So Brock Bowers, improve on that leadership, okay? You go ahead, you be louder in the huddle. Like, I'm into that.
Yeah,
I'm
why
into
not?
it because you are very quiet and you don't speak much, and I respect that about your game because that's just part of who you are. But when you get out on that field, just keep doing what you
Make
do,
it happen,
okay?
man. I
Yeah.
mean, I love the.
Anybody who asks you, like, what do you have to improve on? That's a perfect answer. My leadership.
Well, here, let me ask you
That's
this.
it.
You know, let me ask you this: is Bobo going to get him involved the way Todd
You
Monken
have
did?
to.
Well, I know, but I mean,
You
I
have
think that'll make the transition easier for everybody because, you know, the plays are there, and he'll call probably the same plays. I would think. I mean, for Brock Bowers, as that happened last year, I would think.
Well, I mean, you got like a lot of your receivers, tight ends, other than Washington coming back, right? Because you still got Ladd McConkey, who I think probably caught the most. I think he was the one. He was the lead receiver for Georgia. I mean, he got injured there towards the end of the season, but he's coming back. And then you got Arian Smith, who probably the fastest runner in this country in college ball right now.
Yeah.
But, like, I guess the bigger question really when it comes to Georgia football is, like, the quarterback position.
Right.
Even though we now know that Fred can go play quarterback at Georgia and the defense will help a lot.
Yes, the defense and the running game. And by the way, I am not an identity theft person. I did not steal Fred. Thank you so much. I did not steal Fred Campagna's identity there.
That would have been 3 days in a row. He did back-to-back shows, Fred.
Did he?
And, yep. And now,
He
like,
can't, well, it's load management with Fred. We got load management. We can't bring him in 3 days. He gets upset.
That's
So it's
right.
load management with Fred Campagna. He loves to talk sports. I know that.
Fred, you want to know one other thing that's on my mind before we go?
I want to know.
Now, this is what I find to be just, I don't have a word for it. Georgia's spring game is on the 15th of April,
Yeah,
4 o'clock. You know who else is playing that day?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech at 1 o'clock.
Okay,
Why?
doubleheader.
Why?
It's a doubleheader.
No, it's not. Why, Georgia Tech, are you doing that?
It's Georgia Tech's fault.
Fred,
No, I want to know. I'm asking.
are we competing? Like, why are
No,
we doing this?
I don't know.
Put this on another day so more people in your stands possibly. Because if I had to pick between Tech and Georgia,
Well, people are going to go to Georgia's game, but Tech they're separate people. They're separate fans.
they are separate fans, but
They're
if you, had
separate
any,
people.
if you had any hope to want to get anybody extra in the seats, you've got a new coaching staff, you've got a new way of doing things at Georgia Tech. If you have a new way of doing things, why are we doing that?
So who came out with the schedule first? Do we know? I mean,
It doesn't matter. Look at the schedule.
so look at the
and
schedule. Well,
let's-
wait a minute. Hold on. Georgia's
Yes,
Saturday, so
no.
you know what? We're going to play ours on Friday night.
Who says that?
Tech, right? Just say, hey,
Hey,
we're going to
and
play
Fred-
ours on Friday
Fred,
night,
for the
right?
record, they usually do.
They have in the
They
past.
usually
yeah.
play
They
it
have played
during
on Friday
a
night.
weekday, not the weekend, and especially not the same day as Georgia. This is the first time it's happened in my 7 years here.
Well,
First time.
I'll just tell
I
you,
think
you
it's
know
a
what?
mistake.
It could be a mistake. There's no doubt. But what are you going to do? I mean,
Oh, there's nothing you can
that's
do
the way it's
now.
going to go. I mean, there's nothing they can do. That's when it's scheduled. I mean,
Play
it's
it
no
in front of one
secret,
fan.
okay, that Georgia is the larger program at the state. There's no doubt. They have more fans. It's a bigger deal. I mean, you know, I'm sorry to say that, but I mean, I don't want to offend
For
any
right
Tech
now,
fans, but
you're
right
not
now,
lying. But Tech, I do think they're going in the right direction.
oh, they are going in the right direction.
Your head coach played there. He has
Yes.
passion. He's like Kirby.
Yeah.
He literally is just like Kirby.
Right.
Kirby played at
and they know
Georgia
one
and
another.
he
I think they
turned things
coached together
around.
too, didn't they, for a year or two?
Yes.
Yeah, Key and Kirby. Yeah.
But come
So
on,
they-
Georgia Tech.
All
I
right.
mean, even if you made yours first, like,
Yeah. Well, you know what? They didn't invite me back to coach the spring game either.
I wouldn't either.
Thank you so much.
night,
All right.
guys.
That's it for
Keep
Sports
them away
Tonight.
from a football field.
Okay. Thank you. You agree with my wife.